it's either today or tomorrow that Chiron, a comet, enters Aries. And I looked into it a bit, and it looks like it enters Aries every 50 years. But it'll be in Aries for 9 years. And I'm going to talk about this more later. But today, I'm going to go and donate blood. Chiron represents the wounded healer, and it's coming into my birth sign either today, according to one website, or tomorrow, on my very birthday. But first, reaching out to heal others who are in need of some blood. So I'm going to go do that, and then I'll come back, and hopefully I'll get a chance to talk to myself more later. Chiron enters Aries. The blood lady just told me about a book called Dirty Jeans. Hello. That was a really successful blood donation. Bah, bah, bah. And they also gave me this neat little 3-time donor thing, though it was my 6th time. And I just saw a llama, which is really cool. And last night I slept really well. I fell asleep right away. I only took 1 dose of the falling asleep vitamins, and I didn't take as much as the night before. I took 1 less sunflower lecithin. I think I took less taurine. Hopefully I won't have to take taurine at bedtime at all. So I am going to start to minimize that falling asleep stuff. But it's nice because for these last 2 days and today that I haven't been taking the dopamine boosters, I've felt tired at around 7 or 8. I stay up later, but it's good to feel tired because that'll help me fall asleep. So I think I'm going to keep going with not taking the dopamine boosters. I don't really need it. Just using light therapy a little bit. And now I'm going to go get my deposit return for that car, that electric car I was thinking of getting, but not the right timing. My little old car is still working. And I'm gonna go get a burrito so I don't have to make dinner. And I'm gonna continue to organize all my videos on an external hard drive. I started doing that today because yesterday I was having trouble saving my edited videos on my phone. It was saying I didn't have enough memory when I did, but today it's allowing me to. I tested it out. So I think I don't have as big of a problem as I thought, but it's good to be organized with that. It's nice outside today, and it's going to be nice except for like 1 day from now on, at least in the foreseeable future. So I don't even know if I want to spend time indoors much after today. So I'll try and do outdoor stuff in the day and then do some indoor stuff at night. That's what I say, but I do need to be more active. I've been sitting too much. And today I was focused while driving here to the blood donation according to Spire, and I was only tense during the blood donation right before they stuck the needle in and when they stuck the needle in, only for 3 minutes, and then the rest was fine. And I feel good, and this good energy is going to continue for another month and a half to 2 months. And I was thinking about getting more work, but then I was thinking maybe I'll do what I did last time, and if I end up feeling crappy in the summer, get a job when I feel crappy. It was interesting to be suicidally depressed and work full time, but it's almost a good time because then I don't waste the time that I'm feeling really good working. I'm spending that living my life, and then when I'm doing really poorly than work. We'll see what happens. I'd like to continue to live some fun times in the summertime if possible. Plus, I am working. That's all I do is work. I just don't get paid for it. I'm doing so much research, so much organizing of this and trying to get things together. I don't even have time to do all of it. So I'm always working. I'm just working in a different way that maybe one day I'll get paid. I don't want to set up this whole thing like, oh, if I navigate the next crisis well with these supplements, I'll share it with the world. But I'm continuing with this journey to see what happens, and if I'm able to navigate it, that will give me more freedom to do the next thing. Like if I feel safe to have a major crisis, then that changes things. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Today, like I said, Chiron, the comet, entered Aries, and it'll be in Aries for 9 years. I don't know much about it, but I read this really great article about Chiron this morning, and I will talk about it later when I get home for a little bit, because it was really interesting. It's really pertinent. It makes a lot of sense, and it's cool that Chiron's in Aries starting today or tomorrow, which is tomorrow's my birthday, so that is so cool. I think this is going to be a powerful time. This next 9 years. And it could be if I don't dip into suicidal depression after the next crisis. Maybe it's in the stars that it's time for this to be over. But I'm not banking on it. I'm not going to be silly and think that it's not going to happen. It is going to happen, but it's going to be manageable, and I'm going to understand it a lot better this time because of all the different research that I'm doing and the insights that are coming to me in this space. And I was thinking of doing short clips talking about the insights as well as writing them down. Because if I write them down and talk about them later, they sort of lose their energy. And I look at them later when I'm not in that same state, and they're kind of like, well, blah, what does that mean? It's not that meaningful. It doesn't feel that significant. And I think that's okay too. I had an insight this morning that I've talked about how when consciousness starts to go on the decline after a crisis and lowers from a high state to a low state, the sort of wake of that, like the turbulence of that, just like the turbulence coming off or the wake coming off an airplane or a ship, is all these thoughts and past stuff and awfulness. It's like, it's what flies up into awareness and around and interfering with one's reality as one comes in for a landing really quickly. Well, I feel like it's possible that insight is what is given off as one sort of is rising in energy. And I don't know if that's true, but it seems like one's going through time and then poof, there's an insight that pops through the brain and into awareness, and one can write down or talk about. And then on the way down, it's like past stuff. So if one is future time. I'm not making sense. I just gave blood. I'm going to stop talking now and drive. After donating blood, it's good to eat a big meal. Yes, I am going to eat all of it. I got my vitamins from Vitacost today, and also from iHerb, and I got a door stub for another order, which is probably my order from No Tropics Depot. So on Thursday, after I pick that up, I can organize all these with the labels according to the crisis plan. So these are the ones I got from Vitacost and iHerb. Vitacost. This is the only new one. Jiao Gulan. I have to look up if I'm supposed to take that now or later. And I got more lithium orotate, and this is the super expensive super bio curcumin. And from iHerb, I got more of this probiotic because they wouldn't ship it from Vitacost. 2 per day, they don't have this on Vitacost, and I got 1 extra lithium orotate, so I'll be covered pretty much till the end of June. I feel really thirsty after donating blood. Yesterday I learned if you put rose water, just a couple drops, and lemon juice in your water, it's some kind of tonic. So I had lemon oil, so I put 1 drop in this whole thing, and I have rose water because I have almost everything, because I had it at some point for some reason. I think to make some kind of like natural deodorant that I never made or something like that. So I just happened to have it, so I made it. And then I also learned that Tulsi Tea is a good nerve tonic. So I ordered some Tulsi Tea today on Amazon, along with some athletic tape. I might have to get different tape, like the tape they use for gauze. Look at my band-aid. But I'm going to try this tape because these are the 3 sleep masks I've ordered. The Amaze Cur. Now this, it's not bad actually. I might keep it because this might be really easy to tape, and this was only 15 bucks. And I got the Sleep Master mask. Now this one I don't like because it slips. It's just made out of material. It just slips off so easily. So I'm going to return this one. And the 3rd one I got is the Dream Sleeper. It's pretty similar to the Sleep Master. This one's a bit thicker and not as long as this one. So this one, it just kind of falls off. This Dream Sleeper, it stays on a bit better. But it kind of falls off too. I don't know, maybe I should return both of those and keep the cheap one. This one might be able to be fastened to some kind of hat or something, but the trouble is if I want to tape it, I can't really tape it here because it'll be in my hair. Unless, of course, just tighten it really tight, but it's still, this one kind of falls off too. This one, yeah. This one I think you could tape it and it would stay on, which would be strange, but at least it's something. So maybe I'll return both of those. They kind of slip off. And I got this juice to be one of my branched chain amino acid juice, but it expires on May 30th. So I'm gonna get some cans of juice that don't really expire. This one might be good if I go into too high of energy before that, but giving blood today gives me an excuse to drink juice. I never drink juice. I don't like to drink calories, and it's always extra sugar. I drink kombucha. It's not really that much sugar. Sometimes I drink kombucha. But feeling really thirsty, so I'm gonna just go for it. Oh, not bad. UV filtered water from frozen orange concentrate. So yeah, I'll have to think a little bit more about those sleep masks. This one could at least be taped here if necessary, whereas the other one can't be taped. So I'm changing my mind here. I think I like the Sleep Master better, because at least it could be taped right here to keep it on my head. I don't know what to do, so I'm a little bit fidgety. And I have 2 new additions to my keychain. I got this yesterday. Isn't it cute? And then I got the little blood drop for donating blood. So those are my keys. And the other thing about donating blood is it actually helps to slow down aging. I read in Dr. Mercola's book, Fat for Fuel, that too much iron in the body is bad for us. It speeds up the aging process. It's kind of like rust in the body. So getting rid of the excess iron is a good thing. He recommended donating blood, or if you can't, actually having blood extracted from yourself. So I donated blood, so that will help reduce the iron in my body. And I'm a vegetarian, so when I want to donate blood, I have raw oats a week or 2 before. I had some raw oats, and I just put a little bit in with my morning smoothie in a high-powered blender, and I didn't even notice it was in there. And it was actually hulled oats, not hull-less, so they would look like rice and pretty strong, and the blender just blended it right up, pulverized it. And my hemoglobin was 148, and I don't think it's ever been that high. And I don't think I'm taking any supplements with iron in it. The 2 per day, what I like about it is there's no iron in it, there's no copper in it. Yeah, no copper, which I think I'm sensitive to. There's something called something related to copper and mental health, so I prefer to go without it. Plus, copper is a zinc agonist, so copper and zinc kind of compete for each other, and I'm taking zinc, so copper would only kind of mess that up. And yeah, this doesn't have any iron, which I like, because a lot of multivitamins do, but Dr. Mercola is saying that iron isn't the best thing for us to have an overload of. So this is a good supplement. And there was something else that's not in here that's commonly in things, but is a little bit not good necessarily for mental health stuff. So like this one. And somebody reached out to me and sent me an email, and then it was funny because their footer of their email today was sort of like a special message, and it wasn't there in the footer of their email last time they emailed me, so I thought maybe they just added it, so it felt like this woo-woo message from the universe right here. And these are the types of messages that come when one is in a heightened state. But then I think it's just in the footer, because in the reply it was there. So maybe it was an affirmation for that person, but it was kind of like, ah. And somebody recommended a video about a man named Slow-Mo. And it's a man who was a doctor making a lot of money. And then at some point he simplified his life, and now he rollerblades along the ocean like every day. And I love to rollerblade, so it resonated with me. And then he was talking about how he rollerblades, which is standing with one leg up and then his head forward, kind of like flying. And he was saying that he did research, because he's kind of like a brain guy, on how when the head's in the position like that, it gives the sensation of lateral acceleration. And the way he skates, he can like keep going forward almost indefinitely. I think on a flat surface, or maybe a slight decline, I don't know. But he really gets into the moment that way, and he was saying that is a gateway to the moment. So I might try to rollerblade like him. I might have to get some bigger speed skates though. With the astrology stuff I've been looking into, I realize my number whenever I've played sports has been 54, and that's 2 times 27, which is 2 Saturn returns. But not really. Like, I don't know if it would be 54, it would be 2 of them, because it's 27 to 29 years. But 27 is the beginning of that, so still somewhat interesting, but not that interesting. The source of this next part is astrologyking.com. So a few things about Saturn retrograde. Saturn retrograde in transit is a regular cycle occurring just over every 12 months, lasting about 4.5 months. Transiting Saturn retrograde is a time of limitation, restriction, anxiety, and fear. Saturn retrograde means that whatever area of responsibility you have developed is so important, extra time is needed to take stock and make sure everything is in order before you continue. That's kind of what I'm doing. And that starts tonight. You may be tested to make sure you are ready to take on the extra responsibility. And it says Saturn retrograde 2018 starts April 17th and ends on September 6th. And I put those dates in my calendar. So this could be a difficult time. Maybe the crisis will end September 6th. Retrograde motion is a time when karma is sorted out. Therefore, Saturn retrograde is a double dose of karma. Good thing I donated blood and saved a few lives. Karma is a form of energy that is very real. Like Saturn, it is very closely bound to time. Past, present, and future blur into one. You got that right. If you have been bad in the past, then at a certain predestined time, an event will occur to teach you a lesson. Well, I've been taught many lessons. I don't know how well I've learned. So that was a little bit about Saturn retrograde. And then something that was really interesting was reading an article about Chiron in Aries. And the title is Chiron in Aries 2018 to 2027. You are here for a reason. Ooh. Written by Astro Butterfly. It says Chiron in Aries transit is one of the most important events of 2018. Chiron will enter in Aries on April 18th. A different source I had said April 17th. April 18th is tomorrow, which is my birthday. And leave Aries on April 14th, 2027. Now that is a long way away. I'm going to have to put that in my calendar though. So it'll be in Aries for 9 years. So I'm wondering if this will be a good period of time, because something else, maybe this, mentioned how Chiron is related to the wounded healer. Oh, weird. It says Chiron goes into retrograde on July 5th, 2018 and moves back into Pisces from September 26th to February 18th, 2019. It says we can have a boost of spiritual movements between 2023 and 2024. People will choose to leave behind the old identification of the self and embrace a new identity, a new name, a new outlook on life. Born-again movements can intensify. If you are born between 69 and 77, you'll have a Chiron return. A Chiron return always takes place around the age of 50. Chiron has an irregular orbit and spends more time in some signs than others, between 1.5 and 9 years. Chiron spends the most time in Pisces and in Aries, 8 to 9 years. And that's interesting because Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac and Aries is the first sign. Chiron spends the most time in these two signs because this is where he has to work hardest, connecting the end of everything, Pisces, to the beginning of all possibilities, Aries, is not an easy task. But if there's someone that can embark on this journey, that is Chiron. In this way, Chiron acts like a link between the unconscious and the conscious, between materiality and immateriality. The same theme of linking two different realities of existence emerges if we study Chiron's orbit. And Saturn has an effect on me here. The last visible planet in Uranus, the first transpersonal planet. By orbiting between Saturn and Uranus, Chiron links our personal experience to the collective experience. Whenever Chiron triggers your natal chart by transit, a healing crisis occurs. Ultimately, Chiron's role is to break, but also to put back together different forms of existence. Chiron breaks everything only to find a superior order. Chiron is the alchemist of the zodiac. And then it goes on. It's a really good article. Chiron and Aries, the identity wound. Chiron and Aries is where you feel you don't have the right to be yourself. And that's kind of how I feel a lot of the times. And I won't go into that. I don't really feel like that, but there is that element for sure. So, I won't read all that, but later on in there, it talks about the greatest wound of all, the wound of identity, yada yada yada. But then in the article at the end, it says people who have the most challenging forms of psychosis usually come from upbringings where they were not allowed to be themselves, to express their uniqueness. And I feel like I was sort of programmed to be a certain way, and that wasn't me, and I didn't really know myself at all, and made a lot of mistakes. And now I'm kind of paying for the mistakes I made because I didn't know myself at all. But it's interesting because I feel like I have really challenging forms of psychosis. But yeah, that's all about that. And I really like that article, but I'm not going to read more of that. So that's kind of all I have for today. I had a really good day. And tomorrow I work and it's my birthday, and I'll hang out and have dinner, and then the next day I have an online meeting about something, and by Thursday night I'll know a little bit more if I want to try to go somewhere in May as well as June, or if it's only June. So organizing for the crisis, making those plans. So I'm not going to get into talking about insights, because after tomorrow, when I have time, I need to do more crisis preparation and have that all ready, and then decide what to do. So I don't want to be sitting here talking to myself like this in this room. It's starting to get nice out. I want to be out and about. Maybe that's when I can print some insights and talk about them. But I'm not in a rush to talk about that stuff. I need to be prepared first. So that's what I'm going to do. And here's the mark of the healer that I was telling you about. When I was driving to work just now, there was a lot of traffic on the bridge, but then there were lanes for where I was going that didn't have traffic, and I was thinking, or something came to me, that one day the computer will tell us where to live, or it'll tell us where to work based on where we live. So it'll put all the factors of all the businesses around and how much you can make, and factor in your qualifications and what job you can get. and I'll say, well, you should work here because the commute is shorter and you'll save time in the commute time and you won't be wasting your life sitting in your car traveling, and then that'll make up for this factor and blah blah blah. And it'll just tell us what to do and where to live, and then there won't be so much traffic out there because it won't be people thinking, well, I should live way out here because it's cheaper, and then go work way out here because I can make more money, and then waste 3 hours a day of life in a vehicle. So yeah, can't get enough of this river right now. Look at that. There's a hummingbird. Never noticed them here before, ever. Only because I went to California and now I speak hummingbird. I know how to hear them and then how to listen to where they are. It's right at the top of the tree there. Hey, little birdie. Hear the horrible engine brakes mixed in with the beautiful hummingbird call. There he goes. I'm feeling a bit shaky. I have cramps today. I had to take naproxen. So I haven't taken my vitamins yet, but I'm going to, and I'm going to make a smoothie. And I slept well last night. I woke up a bit early, and I think I slept well the night before. So I'm back to sleeping well and feeling tired. Not taking the dopamine boosters is helping for sure. I still have lots of energy to do what I need to do, and my brain's working well, and I can get everything done. So I'll show my Spire data and sleeping summary. for the last few days. And last night when I was doing the relaxation audio, I wasn't able to really breathe calm for very long. Previously, I've had like 20 or so minutes straight of calm, according to Spire, and last night I only had 5, like 2 minutes and another 3 minutes. I think it's partly because I ate a lot of cake. It was my birthday, and I had 2 rounds of cake, and I ate a lot, and I probably was just bloated. It's hard to breathe calm when one is so stuffed and bloated. And I'm feeling like eating healthier pretty soon at some point. Just cleaning out my body a bit, increasing my vibration. I have a lot to talk about. A lot of insights have been coming to me. So after I do this crisis planning and organizing of this other thing and deciding whether I'm going to take off to California or stay here, which is all in the next few days, I need to get outside, and I also want to organize some of these insights to maybe talk about it in a coherent way, and in this energetic state, talk about it in a coherent way, because I think I've talked about some stuff in a disjointed way related to mental health in the past, but I'm seeing a lot more. I'm seeing a lot more holistically, and it's less scary, because some of this can be scary in a way, because to realize that there's no self there is weird. And even just saying that now, I realize that when one realizes that, one needs a completely different design of life, because when there's no self, one is kind of like a ping pong ball. So if one uses whatever illusion of self and free will remains to put oneself in a position like a chess piece to operate that way, and in a situation to operate that way, then it's safe to operate without a self. But right now it's like there is this illusion of self, but it's opaque, it's visible. It's not operating as what is below awareness, as a necessity below awareness, but it's like, well, this is what's operating, but it's not necessary. But I see the limited necessity of it as life is designed right now. And I think that's what the medications help to keep going. So, yeah. Anyway, I'll talk about that later. I was walking and I had to put my bag down to look at this. It's not that everything's so distracting, it's that everything is so attracting. Look at that! There's a big ant in the middle of the drugstore. I'm going to try and save him. Let's see if he's still alive. Mr. Ant, did you make it? Ah, you did. This isn't really a good spot for you, though. Maybe I'll put you in the park. There's your house. He's in here. Oh, there he is. Maybe he's a queen, and when I put him down, or her, she'll make a new colony. Otherwise, she's probably a lone ant, and she can't survive without the vibe of her tribe. I got my Tulsi Tea. Vanilla rose. I'm gonna have a cup of that tonight. And I got more drugs. And I'm gonna go save my aunt. There he is. I didn't go to the park because I'm hungry. And yesterday I ate so much cake that I thought I was going to explode. So I'm going to make something healthy to eat. And I got my polygala as well as phenibut and uridine powder from No Tropics Depot. So now I have all my supplements so I can put together my crisis plan. Actually, I'm going to rename it and call it my transformation plan, especially after watching Jason Silva's video, The Creative Act. Look at all the dandelions. All right, little ant. This is as good a place as any, because someone told me once that once you lose your trail, you're dead. But I feel being in the middle of a drugstore, a big drugstore, on the white floor, as a black ant, somebody was going to find you if it wasn't me and just step on you and kill you. So at least this way, you have a chance. And I'm looking at the ground here and there's some ants here. They might not be your friends, but you are a heck of a lot bigger than them. So you have a chance. So why don't you just find your way out? Where are you? You are a really big guy. You are really big, so I think you might be a queen. Look how big you are. You're huge. So, like, that is a huge ant. You're right in the middle of the drugstore. So now you're gonna do something with these ants here. You're pretty mellow, like you're not getting freaked out or anything. So, you're pretty mellow here too. Where are you? There you are. So yeah, you have a better chance with the remainder of your life being happy out here. There's plenty of room. The world is your oyster. I should have brought my macro lens out for this, but I didn't think of it. Well, have a good life. I'm gonna go make some food. This guy seemed to be just as content in the bag as out of the bag, as on the drugstore floor. This guy is truly a Zen ant. He's not concerned that he can't find his friends. Okay, seriously, this is when I get distracted by all the beauty, when I'm in this state of consciousness, and I have work to do. I have crisis planning to do. And I stood up really fast, and I think with that blood donation, I don't have the same body fluids yet. And I was distracted by this beautiful purple flower. But again, it's not distraction, it's the beauty algorithm in the brain. I was driving and my window was open, and all of a sudden this tiny little sunflower dandelion seed came flying in my window, and I could see it in my peripheral vision, and it was just like, oh, that's beautiful. I didn't even look at it with my focal vision, but I still saw it, and it still touched me. Well, now that I've put that ant in its right place, or at least a better place, where he can be an ant, I'm going to go back and make some food, but I do want to talk about something that's on my list of things to talk about, which isn't that long because I have a longer list of insights piling up. But yesterday when I was at work, I had an experience where, while I was working, I was sharing stuff, blah, 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 being vocal, speaking up, and I had an experience where somebody gave me a look like this, like a scowl, and I saw it, and it like, the energy, the light from their eyes like pierced my soul, and I felt the energy of, they were possibly sort of angry or not able to something, I don't know, but I've talked before in a long time ago about the light coming out of one's eyes and how we're received. So for the example of being in front of a psychiatrist when we're in these vulnerable states, that's going to warp us according to how they see us. And I'm not sure if it's because I'm in this heightened state where my brain seems to be kind of working out the distinction between, this is the thing I struggle with, getting into these vulnerable states. It feels like there's no boundaries. It feels like one is everything and one is everyone. Yet one isn't everyone in a way. And the way my brain is working it out is from the level of thought and the level of insight, which are two different ways that the brain can operate. So other people, they might feel like me, as in we're related and not separate. So I can get certain feelings of what they're putting at me in terms of energy, and I feel like I clearly felt what was coming at me there. But at the same time, I felt the pain of it. It did affect me physically, but it did affect me psychologically as well, but not in the same way of feeling like it was warping me. It was sort of a pain feeling like it was coming from thought, from a person projecting thought at me. So it affected me, and in seeing that it affected me, I wasn't affected. It was strange. Whereas before, if I didn't see that energy coming and know where it came from, my energy might have been lowered, and then I wouldn't know why, and then I'd be acting differently, but not knowing why. But I felt the energy. It was like a laser beam, and so I could clearly see where it was coming from. So it did affect me, but it lowered my energy, but I was able to bring it back up because I wasn't like thinking, well, where did this come from? I saw exactly where it came from with my eyes, meeting their eyes and them sending me like this evil glare. But I feel like I was able to neutralize it. And also, people with lived experience are powerful, and the look they give can be really powerful. And I got a powerful look that was, I think, possibly unconsciously being used for the not good, because my intentions were not bad in that day, but doesn't mean that people won't react even if one's intentions are good. So being able to neutralize that, and then also experiencing that so fully, whereas before it was sort of like an insight of, I can see how this works. People projecting images and psychiatrists and blah, 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 but this was like fully coming out of that experience. And what was interesting too is earlier that day, somebody was telling me about an opportunity on Fridays, and I was like, oh, that's a cool opportunity. Maybe I want to stay and not go to California. And then at the end of the day, when that evil glare happened, I was kind of like, I don't need this shit. Like, I don't need to be around people who are going to give an evil glare when I could go to California and there's not really evil glares there. There could be, but it's just different. So I feel like as soon as I'm feeling, yeah, I could stay here and be here and blah, 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 the next moment I'm like, oh my gosh, get me out of here. So yeah, I'm still vacillating between the two perspectives of, yeah, I want to be here and do what I can with this here. And then also I was thinking about too how I'm writing down all these insights and they're sort of coming up, but they're not relevant to the moment. So they are insight, but they're not relevant to the moment in terms of there's no one to share it with. So I write it down. Whereas in California, I can be in the state of insight and I just share with people in dialogue from that level. And it's not, I never feel, not never, but I didn't really feel like I have to write anything down. So it's like this whole writing things down for later is a side effect of not being where one can be in dialogue and with other beings who are at least attempting to operate from a different level of consciousness. So we'll see what happens. I saved the ant. I probably have a bit more to talk about. Make food, start a crisis plan, continue to organize my videos, and then that one other project. And then it keeps going and going and going. But that's why I need to remember to eat. Last night I took a nice bath, and I might take a bath again tonight. And I feel like the Spire is teaching me to not breathe tense while I'm driving, because I haven't really had as much tense breathing while driving. So it's cool that it's not only going to tell me, oh, you're tense while driving, so don't drive as much anymore. My body automatically responds and learns how to breathe with that feedback. And I didn't have that much tense breathing in 6 hours at work yesterday. So it could also be that I'm doing the Peter Smith relaxation audio. And I've done it probably like 8 days or 9 days in a row now. Even though it's really hard in a way to do it, because my mind is like, there's a lot to do and it's sort of trying to figure out and have insights into things. But I am glad that my brain seems to be figuring out this whole distinction of what is you and what is me. There is no you and me, but there's still this stuff sort of coming at me from the level of a you and just sort of blocking it or letting it bounce off. And also being aware that it does affect me and to be careful a little bit. The last thing I wanted to say about that whole evil glare phenomenon was that people with lived experience were misusing our power. I felt the power of that energy of that person, and wow, they are powerful, but they don't know how to use their power. They're using it the wrong way. They're using it to glare at people that are there to support them. And I've taken the Jiao Gulan for 2 days, and I took CoQ10 this morning and the last couple of days, but I didn't take the acyl L-carnitine ALA combo. And I also read to take cold showers to reduce stress, so I'm going to try to do 2 minutes of a cold shower after my shower in the morning. I'm really super high right now. Today is 4:20. And I am high on learning. I was reading over the Peter Smith balancing brain chemistry notes that I have, and I could see so much more, and writing notes about those notes, and my brain feels really high on learning. And something I learned by reading the Peter Smith notes was that glutamate is related to learning. And it's very prevalent in the brain and very quick acting. So I think my glutamate is going up because of how I was learning today. And I was thinking about slowing it down purposefully with branch chain amino acids, because I told myself next time I'm feeling this sort of manic high, though I'm not feeling manic like euphoric or wanting to go into hedonism or anything like that. My brain is just really super activated by what it's designed to do, which is learn and see more than what is written in black and white. And that's what meaning and significance is. So when it's learning and seeing more meaning and significance from what is apparent, then it gets really energized. and that's what's happened. So it's nothing bad. I'm not doing any kind of behaviors that would warrant doing something to calm it down, except for my own curiosity about how the branched chain amino acids might work. I'm thinking today, though, that I will take a dose of taurine. Last night I didn't take taurine midday. I took it morning and night. So I could leave this too and see what happens if I don't take taurine midday and if I take it at night to sleep, and then see if this state that I'm feeling right now leads to trouble sleeping, even with the sleep supplement regime that I'm doing. So it's more out of curiosity. So I'm thinking that I might wait on the glycine and taurine and do it at bedtime like I did last night. And since I feel more elevated and energized today, see if this elevated and energized state will lead me to not be able to sleep. So I'll kind of know if I feel like this next time, then I should tone it down. And next time I'll try to tone it down with the glycine and taurine, and then after that I will go to the branched chain amino acids. And I'm pretty sure I have time to play around with this, because I learned that after getting my sleep back in order last time, it went kind of out of order because of how I was taking the dopamine boosters. So I didn't take dopamine boosters today like rhodiola. Through my reading, I did discover that I should be continuing to take the NAC, N-acetylcysteine, 6 days a week. It does work on dopamine, but I read that it also, I think it was, regulates glutamate. Yeah, it says it helps glutamate. So this is the thing, by continuing to study this balancing brain chemistry thing, I'm learning how to navigate it more. And right now I mainly know what brings me up and what brings me down, but I don't quite know in terms of remembering which amino acids do what. Like, I know what tyrosine does, but taurine, I learned more of what it does, like it creates GABA, or helps to regulate GABA, and so does glycine. So by knowing those extra bits, it helps me to know what gestures of what to take and when. So I'm working on that, and I still have one more document to read. And I do kind of want to go through and read some of my extrapolations that I made from reading those documents, to talk to myself about the extra insights that are there. And right now, since I'm in this super speedy state, I feel like there's a lot to talk about, so many insights, and also what I'm doing at the same time. I really don't know if I can keep up. I'm going to try, so I'm going to try to talk and not edit these videos of talking, so that's okay if there's a little bit of break, or I can stop a video and then start again once I have a few more thoughts collected. And it would be interesting right now if I had this device that I discovered today, which is called a Cardia Mobile. And you put your fingers on it and it records your ECG, your electrocardiogram. Because I was looking today for a heart rate monitor, because I have this breath monitor, the Spire, and it's really cool. And they're coming out with something that also monitors heart rate, but not for a couple of months. So I was thinking of getting something like a Fitbit, so I contacted them. And I was asking them if the Fitbit keeps track or can sense extreme rate changes in the heart rate, like boom, all of a sudden going up to 200 beats a minute, which happens to me sometimes. And they said they had a friend with atrial fibrillation, and it doesn't necessarily track that. I don't know what atrial fibrillation is, but they were basically saying it doesn't necessarily keep track of those extreme variations that well. I have a chest strap and the Cardio Mood app, which does do a pretty good job of keeping track of that through the night when it stays on, but it's a bit clunky with the chest strap, and then can you use other apps while this thing is running all the time? I don't know. Ideally, I would get the iWatch, and then this Cardia mobile device has a Cardia bracelet. It's spelled Kardia, and you can put it on your iWatch, and if it detects a weird heart rate, it'll tell you to put your finger on there to like get an ECG. And I didn't see that they actually sell that bracelet yet. And then it's about $200 US for the bracelet. Plus you have to pay for this like $10 a month data monitoring thing. And then the Apple Watch, so it would be horrendously expensive. So I can't do that right now. If I was like crazy manic, that would be something that I'd be like, oh, I have to do that and spend like $1,000. And there are things that I want to spend $1,000 on, maybe like that family constellation facilitator, meeting up with her to talk about some stuff, possibly, because I think it might help. She's very intuitive, or I don't know if that's the right word. I created a new word for that, and I'll get to that at some point. So yeah, that's the experiment I'm doing today, and related to the branch chain amino acids. And last night when I was trying to fall asleep, I took all of my sleeping supplements, except I forgot to take the extra 10 milligrams of lithium orotate that I took the 2 nights before. And at some point when I was falling asleep, I felt a shock in my finger. And that's when I realized, oh, I didn't take the lithium, because lithium is positive charge, and I think it's kind of needed to move the electricity, all the negative charge. And so I did have to get up and take that 10 milligrams, and then I did fall asleep. So I'm thinking of switching up the way I take lithium orotate and take 5 milligrams in the morning, 10 milligrams at dinner, after dinner, and 10 milligrams at sleep time, instead of 10 milligrams in the morning and 10 milligrams with dinner. And I've been taking an extra 10 at sleep time, so this way I'd be taking 5 milligrams less in the morning and 10 milligrams more at night, so only 5 more milligrams daily as opposed to 10. Maybe I don't quite need that. Maybe I only need to switch the time of day that I take it. It seems to be helping me sleep, so I'm going to do that. And if not, I will take 10, 10, and 10 again. This morning I took 5 milligrams of lithium orotate, and I'll take the other 20 later. And one thing that I will have to edit in was that the Spire people sent me the weekly report of my stats, and what was interesting is, since now I've been wearing it for 2 weeks, is they compared some of the breathing data to other people my age, or other women my age, I believe, which is something I wasn't expecting. So what it shows is that my calm breathing time is pretty similar, and I can't really remember right now because I'm not looking directly at it, but I'll do a voiceover. But I remember that it showed that my tense breathing was twice as much as other women my age. And the thing that shocks me a bit about that is I work like 1 day a week, and I don't really go out and about very much. So when I do go out and work and things like that, it builds up really quickly, I think. If I was working 5 days a week, I would probably have 10 times that amount of tense breathing. So it's kind of showing me that I am sort of sensitive to tension, or being out and about does make me feel or breathe tense. I'd have to be out and about more and working more to see for sure, because not all women my age are working per se, but I found it shocking that mine is twice as much. And it could be too because I've only been using the device for 2 weeks, and maybe over longer periods of using it I will breathe less tense, because it will give me some kind of feedback and learn how to adjust my breathing accordingly. And the other thing that was interesting to me, though, is that I had 2 hours more in the week of focus time, focused breathing, and I thought that was pretty significant. So I'll have to keep an eye on that over the weeks, but I thought that was pretty significant to see that I have more tension, but I also have more focus, breathing. So this is my weekly summary report, and it shows that I'm kind of around the average for calm with other women if you look on the right side. But then focus, the average is 5 hours and I was at 7. And tense, the average is about 1.5 and I'm at 3. So 2 hours extra of focus, 25% more, and double the tension. So I'll keep an eye on that in coming weeks, and that's why it could be good to do this for weeks, to see the trends and to see if my physiology learns and changes over time, or if I need to adapt my life accordingly. I'm starting to get kind of hungry, and I usually take the glycine and taurine before I eat, about half an hour before I eat in the afternoon, but I think I'm going to skip it and just do it at night and see how feeling sped up, and then not taking it midday and just taking it at night, if that works enough to keep me sleeping at this point at least. And it could be it does, but then eventually it builds up and doesn't. So that's what I like about knowing how to use these nutrients, is that I can sort of navigate with them. It's like giving me a control stick at the level of physiology. And something interesting that happened last night, it was this morning when I was sleeping. I got woken up and I went back to sleep because I was really tired from waking up a bit earlier the last couple of days. And this light being came and sort of made love to me in my sleep. It was weird. It was nice, actually. And it was like I could feel this light being. It was pretty obvious. And I was starting to think this morning about how maybe when we get this type of light energy or connection with that dimension of light, which seems to be another aspect of the world that I've had a lot of insights about lately that I'll get to, but it seems like when we get that connection and order, it won't only come to us to save us when we need help in our difficult times, when we need the strength to get away from a bad situation, like in emergency fight or flight, but it'll also come to us to bring us some kind of joy. And that's not a joy that I really have in my life right now, and I don't really want it per se. And I remember feeling in that part of my cycle where I'm like, oh, I could, be intimate with someone, but I sort of just let it go altogether. I just didn't act on any of it in terms of any kind of thing that could go along with that, use your imagination. And so I didn't do anything like that, but it still sort of appeared and was something in a different domain, like some action took place anyway. And it seemed to be this light being, and I'd never really had that type of experience before. Like sometimes I'll have like dreams about people, but this was just some sort of humanoid figure, but there was no form to it in terms of facial features or anything. It was like a nice body, a nice form, but no real identification with any person, which made it sort of nice, because then I woke up and I was like, oh, that was nice, and it wasn't like, oh, that was weird because it was this person or that person. I don't have that many dreams anyway. I didn't dream for a really, really long period of time, and now I do a little bit, I think, because I'm taking these B vitamins in the form of 2 per day. But yeah, not too many dreams. And there's a lot to that whole dreaming and not dreaming thing that I don't have time to go into now. And I did sleep really well last night, I think. It was sleep quality in the 80s, but it was a good sleep for sure. So I'm going to buy that Cardia Mobile, because right now I really can't help it. I can't help but spend money on these things. Today I also ordered a pulse oximeter. It does measure your pulse and your oxygen saturation. saturation. It was only like 20 bucks or something, maybe a bit more, and I don't really need it, but I seem to be very intrigued by these biofeedback devices right now. And I was thinking the pulse oximeter might be cool just to check my pulse when I do have that racing heart thing start to happen. But I think this Cardia thing will help more. The thing that sucks is because it's an external device, I can only do it after the fact, and it'll catch my ECG sort of after the fact, but it won't catch that spike, maybe. That's what the iWatch would be handy for. So I might get one eventually, but I don't want to do that thing where I get it prematurely. It might be the right time. I don't know. We'll see. It depends. I think if I'm able to keep up with all this stuff, that's one thing. And if I'm not, then that's another thing. Because it's cool to be interested in learning all these things, but one has to be able to keep up. So if I order a Cardia and a sleep mask and Tulsi Tea and this and that, I have to be able to use it. Otherwise it sits around. So I did have my Tulsi Tea last night. And I did get this black tape in the mail today, which is the athlete tape. And it's pretty cool. You have to cut it, and then this is what I'm using to see if these masks will work. So I took a clip of me trying this mask on, and this is the Sleep Master. And what I like is that you can tape it to your head, whereas the Dream Sleeper you can't because it goes up too high. So this isn't really ideal, but it's, I think, good enough for now. And then the tape here blocks the light from coming in on the nose area. So I have to do a little bit more trial with this to see with the tape. Trouble is, once you have it on your face, it's kind of hard to tape because you can't see. So I'll do that later, but I have this mask and this one, which could work kind of well too. At least it doesn't hit the eyes, and with the tape. And then this is the Dream Sleeper, which I was saying that you can't tape it to secure it up here because it goes too high up the head. So it's possible that when you're laying down it doesn't really fall off, but I do need to have it secure the whole time because no light can come into my eyes. And I'm trying to look for other solutions for that too. So I just can't stop until I find these solutions that I feel that I need, which kind of sucks. And then I'm thinking, oh, I want to go out and be in my body and have fun, but maybe I don't have time. But then in a few months I'll say to myself, well, why didn't I make time for that like I said I was going to? I don't know what's the right thing to do. Research this stuff and then I feel like if I was in the beauty and in a beautiful place, none of this chaos would be manifesting as necessary, which could be quite possible. So we'll see. But then I'll talk about that after. So this is me trying to test this taping the mask to my face method by myself, which is hard because once I tape it, I can't see anything. But it looks like I messed up the tape here, so it's not quite staying there, but it does stay, and this athletic tape doesn't really stick strong to the skin. And then here it seals up the light, and then I would just do it on the other side, even though I can't see it on the other side because my eyes, this is quite tight, so my eyes are actually glued closed. But this is a good sign. So what I was going to say was it'd be cool to have that Cardia device because it actually records medical grade ECG. So it'd be cool to see how my heart is beating when I'm in different scenarios. So right now I can tell how I'm breathing in different scenarios, but it'd be cool to look at my heartbeat in different scenarios. Just like I use the Muse to look at my brain waves when I'm feeling in different ways. But that one's quite hard to make sense of. I need to understand a lot more about brain waves in order to do that. So I think this one might be easier to understand. Plus, on Amazon, there was this chart of ECG, so that might help to understand some of it. And then, ideally, I would be able to keep track of my heart rate all the time with something like an iWatch, which I might invest in, we'll see. Because I could think, well, I could go into beauty and then I don't need all these different biofeedback interventions because I'd be fine. But in the meantime, it'd be cool to learn about some of it using these things, because not everyone can go off into a beautiful place and sit there and enjoy the flowers and the bugs and the ocean and the dirt and the trees and the breeze and the clouds and the birds and all that. People do have to live in this world, so I might be able to go into beauty this next time in the way Jason Silva describes in his video, The Creative Act. But I do want to be able to come back into the world at some point, and doing these investigations now might help me to do that and bridge that. So we'll see. And right now, after talking about some of this stuff, I do feel not as the energy feels like, okay, now it's going into something. It's not just ideas and insights tumbling around in my brain. It's going into something that is being captured in a way that I've been capturing things and grounding it and bringing it into the manifest world. So yeah, I have a lot more to talk about. I did get through some of it, and reading those documents gave me a lot of insights. I haven't got to labeling my vitamins yet, and I need to do that for the crisis plan. So I have one more document to read and then label the vitamins, so I probably won't even get to that until tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to this class about breathing and how to be in this space, and I think it could be really helpful. It's by somebody that I've studied with before. It's a long ways away, and that utilizes a lot of gas. I feel like after this weekend workshop, or it's only a couple hours in the morning, be outside in nature, catch up and talk about these insights on video, and then pick a few things that I want to do, like the once a month family constellation meetup, maybe meet up with that woman, and try not to go to too many things. Stay here and work on what I'm working on, because when I'm at home and doing this stuff, I'm in focus most of the time. Very little tension, like 7 to 11 minutes a day, where if I'm out and about, it's like 50 minutes to an hour or more of tension. So it's sort of telling me that. And I would say before, oh, I'm in this period of energy, I should go out and work, but I am feeling like I should work on this, and then when my energy tanks, that's the time to do some laborious work to make some income and not use this for that. Because also when I'm in this higher energy, I feel like the energy starts constellating people around me. Like they say things and then it's like more information. Even when I was at the blood donor clinic, this lady's like, read the book Dirty Genes, and so I bought it, and I can only read a page because my brain starts going too much and I don't have time to read it all. So there's way too much to do and not enough time. And that's why I feel like I need to talk to this lady I met who might be able to help collate this in some way. Because right now, it's a bunch of talking and that's all I can do. I can't really collate it. That's not what I'm able to do. My brain can't do it. So yeah, more to come. Something really interesting just happened. I was talking in my last video about taking supplements to bring myself down, like branched chain amino acids or glycine or taurine. But there's nothing like life to do it for you. Somebody sent me something on social media, and it's actually quite triggering for me. They were sending it as a good thing, but long story, it's quite triggering. So I've been sitting here with that. And here I was thinking, oh, I'm going to go in to all these insights and everything, but now it's this other thing really in the forefront of my mind. and wondering what that's about. Wondering if it's something to go into, wondering if it's something to push away, to acknowledge. I don't know. But the interesting thing also is I just looked at the Spire app, and when I was sitting there feeling kind of tense and processing, it was showing that my breathing was calm. And I really haven't had very many buzzes today, because it buzzes when it's a focus streak or a tense streak. And I've had 0 tense breathing today, according to Spire, and less focused today than usual and more calm. I'm already at something like 20 minutes calm today, and usually I only get to that by the end of the day by doing that calm breathing. So it could be that calm exercise is helping. But what's interesting is all those hours where I was feeling that super high energy and like I was too high and learning, I wasn't only researching and making connections and sending things to people and whatever. I was making extrapolations and writing new insights down from what I was reading and exploring, and it showed my breathing was calm in spurts throughout that time. So that's really interesting. So I'm not sure what to do with this new information. I'm not sure what to talk about next. I'm thinking that, again, here things change so quickly, it would be better to leave the insights and do the crisis planning, because that state of insight isn't sustainable. And what I just saw that my friend sent me is indicative of bringing me back down to the lowest common denominator. So I didn't need to take something to bring myself down. Something just happened to bring myself down. And being able to sit with that, I think, is good. Process some of it. Because everything's okay right now. I'm fine. So I'm not getting freaked out by it, but it's just sort of bringing something to the forefront. I really don't know if it's good to leave the past behind, but the thing is, I don't think we can. It's sort of, it comes up. Somebody sends something that brings it up. Even if it's something that's supposed to be helpful. I have this feeling of just wanting to drop everything and just leave and be like, this is all crap. And then I realize if I do that, they'll send the police after me, because somebody will interpret that as I've gone nuts because I've been diagnosed with a mental illness. So they'll find me. So I can't do that. So I am quite intrigued by this whole notion, or seeing that I was breathing really calm today despite learning and having so much energy going on in my brain, and seeing so much. I'm not sure what else I could have done to bring on this calmness. Maybe taking the Tulsi Tea last night. This is why it's good to talk about all the little factors with myself, so then I can try to remember what does what and what helps with what. And I think it's good that I'm breathing calm right now, because otherwise I could be quite disturbed by certain past events that are hard to process. So I want to say to myself that I'm aware of this, and I will have it in mind and see in what way I can incorporate that into life unfolding. And maybe it's something I need to talk about with myself on video and acknowledge and not really go into it, because that's what I do a lot of the time. I like to talk about a lot of different things, and so many different things interest me, but I don't want to specialize in anything. I don't want to specialize in my past. I don't want to specialize in hypnosis. I don't want to specialize in much of anything. Maybe nutrition, but I still want to have enough time to have interest in a lot of different things. And so, yeah, I have to see where this fits. I don't know. I think going to this workshop tomorrow to learn these breathing exercises will help, because right now I'm quite intrigued by breathing, hence the spire. And it'll be interesting to see how my breathing is when I'm around those people. And yeah. And I ordered this book to get my Amazon order up for free shipping, because it was only a few dollars. I think I looked up quantum or happiness or something, and it was a reduced book, so it didn't get popular or anything, but it's interesting. All these sparkles on the water, that's something I took a video of when I was in California. But I was flipping through just the first few pages, and I saw the name Rupert Sheldrake, but then I kept flipping, and then I lost where it was. But I know I saw his name for sure. So that's kind of a good sign, because I was talking about the morphogenetic field that Rupert Sheldrake thought up. And so yeah, that's where I get confused about, am I supposed to go into the past, or is having this really insightful brain? There it is. The morphogenetic field. Rupert Sheldrake describes with consciousness as morphogenetic fields. So when I saw in the description of this book something about quantum, then I got it, and then here it is, Rupert Sheldrake on page 50. And see, when I'm starting to talk about this stuff, I'm feeling better, but then I wonder, well, is learning in this way a compensation for not dealing with the past, or does the past need to be dealt with, or does it need to be acknowledged? I don't really want to go backwards. But the thing is, I go backwards when I hit the wall and go through so-called psychosis, and I go, so is it because I'm not going backwards? In actuality, that consciousness keeps going backwards, and then when I get myself back together, I just start doing more things like deep happy and blah blah blah, and then that's the reason why this keeps, because this thing that I saw today is sort of something that happened before all this so-called bipolar stuff started happening. So it's like, well, this is kind of part of the reason why it started happening. Or is it? Is there a cause? Was it before that? Or was it something that started generations ago, or from the beginning of humanity? There are no causes. So to go back and say this caused that, I think is many steps backward in my processing process in my brain. The way I process energy and information flow. So, yeah, it might be enough to talk about it with myself on video. And there are things that I want to talk about that I haven't talked about yet. I feel like maybe after I go through this next crisis, or during the next crisis, I don't know. I think I do need to empty my phone to fit all that video on there, because I won't be able to upload it to the cloud. I don't think it's a good Wi-Fi connection where I'm going. So yeah, I really, really don't know. And I think that's okay to not know, because if I jumped to a conclusion and knew what to do with that all so quickly, that would be a mistake. And some things I didn't talk about on the last video was that I ordered the lithanase, and I didn't talk about that, but it was in Peter Smith's information. He was talking about lithium orotate, but one can also take something called lithanase, where it's a very, very, very tiny dose of lithium. So I ordered that so I can try it one day in the future. And I also, before I looked at that thing that sort of triggered me, I ordered that cardia, heart rate thing. So it'll be interesting to look at my heart right now to see how it's beating. I probably could if I only put on that heart rate monitor and something. I don't know if this thing's necessary, but I don't know what the most necessary thing is. Maybe I need to design a low-stress lifestyle for acquired highly sensitive personhood, or maybe just in seeing that I'm able to breathe calm right now, even though I was triggered, maybe that's a win. Maybe that's what it is. And I can always return that cardia thing if I don't like it. And I also got this information card about heartbeats to go with it. I don't know if it's necessary, but I just can't keep myself from spending money on trying to figure out this thing. And maybe that's the thing, like, I was triggered by something, past event that was traumatic, by something someone sent me, but if I'm able to be with it, a triggering mental thing in the mental realm, in the realm of the past and time, and be with it with calm physiology, calm breathing, calm heart rate, then maybe that's bringing some healing to those events. And there still might be something to do with what I noticed, but I have to set the right intention if I'm going to utilize that for anything. Well, I know what I'm talking about, but I'm not really giving details right now, because if I do, it'll be on a specific video to keep it separate from everything else. And yeah, I really don't know. Maybe I'll go make myself some food and some Tulsi Tea and keep on breathing in a calm way, even though, maybe the brain likes that energy, and learning makes the brain calm. And it could be too that I was learning what I need to learn in order to keep myself safe next time. So that could have also been what made my breathing calm. Because I've talked about how the focus breathing could be like, do more of this. And the tense breathing could be do less of that, or learn how to breathe different through it. And the calm breathing could be, this is what I need to do for crisis planning. Even though my brain, like my subjective experience, was very energized and I was feeling I would have assumed I was breathing kind of fast and like hyper, but really I was breathing calm, and maybe I had to breathe calm in order to have enough oxygen to feed my brain through that process. It's hard to know. I don't think there's a cause, but there's correlations there that are interesting to investigate. And see, I find this a lot more interesting to investigate than going into the past. That's not that interesting to investigate. even though maybe going into the past could heal some of these things that are leading me to feel like I need to investigate these correlations. So that's what I don't know. And I actually sat here and sort of said something to the universe. I said, universe, I need your help to know where to go with this, because I really, really don't know. Maybe nowhere. We'll see. So it seems like I keep ordering things to possibly help with this, and we'll see where this other thing goes. But at least I'm breathing calm. That could be the main win, to breathe calm through the thought storms or things that come up that are in life. And it's just interesting too to me how I was thinking, well, I'm going to bring myself down by taking some branched chain amino acids, but the world will show things to bring the state down naturally if one just waits. And it's almost like a mini hitting the wall. The big crisis of hitting the wall will probably happen mid-June, where things are going good, and it's like, all of a sudden I feel like so awful and suicidal. But right now it's like I was up and then looked at something and it's like, okay, now it's not so up. That's okay. And yeah, I was thinking, not going to California, being here. Like, I wonder if going to California is avoidance a little bit, like wanting to go into higher states, and whereas it could be more advantageous to stay here, not have a lot of bills right now, and learn how to be okay in these other places with more chaos, but then maybe not working as much. Sort of doing the minimal stuff. Like I'm helping to organize something, maybe not really doing that so much. I don't know. I don't know if it feels like bowing out, or it could just be in this state of consciousness where I feel like I don't want to do all that. Or maybe it's not good. I'll know more in the next couple of days. And this is similar to the other day where I was kind of flying high at work, doing good, and then got sort of the evil stare to bring me down. And then today, flying high, doing all this research, and then being triggered with past traumatic memory to bring me down. And I could use these bringing down things as reasons to disengage, or engage with those things that are hints to go into, or see that I don't want to allow things to get in my way of what I am researching. Or maybe not doing that stuff is what's getting my way. I don't know what it is. There's no causes, there's only correlations. So I think I'm going to make myself some food, tea, and read that last crisis plan document or brain biochemistry document, talk with a friend, and then sleep, go to that event tomorrow, and then it's a 2-day event, but I might only go to 1 day, and then just get back to the crisis planning. I think that could have been what this whole coming down to earth thing is right now, is okay. Work on the baseline, work on safety, crisis planning. And the calmness breathing and things like that. So I'll show my calm breathing from today. how many minutes of that I have right now. And I did have calm breathing while I was in dialogue earlier too. So it's good that I'm calm today in general. Look at all the calm today. I was calm for 10 more minutes while talking to myself in this very video. 52 minutes of calm. That's way over the average of 29 minutes. So it could be because I'm calm or correlated with that I'm calm, some of these things can come into reality and be processed in a safe and calm way. I don't know. And just comparing that to yesterday where I was in a lot of focus and not as much calm, and the day before when I had more tension and not very much calm. So I don't know what's going on. I'm starting to appreciate more and more the power of calmness and calm breathing. Inspired by today, feeling calm even though my brain was sort of manic maybe, or breathing calm at least, and then breathing calm when I was having some old memories come up, and then I created a nice, beautiful, calm dinner for myself. See? Here's an insight on the spot. Don't let the insight speak to you, because there is no you. Let it speak through you. Which sounds weird too, because there's still no you when it speaks through you. And my brain already came up with another interpretation for why my breathing could have been calm and slower when I was in this manic-y state in terms of the subjective experience of it. And I wasn't feeling manic as in the typical manifestations of it, maybe, of feeling hedonistic or different things that happen, but I just felt like I was learning a lot and learning from what I was learning, extrapolating. But I've come to appreciate the possibility of the relativistic nature of consciousness, and how if the brain is speeded up, if consciousness is speeded up or sped up, I don't know how to say that right, then the body will actually slow in breathing relative to that, because consciousness is going faster, which is something that will be more prevalent in the future. So it's sort of gone into this future consciousness. So then, relatively speaking, in the material world, breathing slows down. And the same could be true a little bit when out in the material world, in traffic. Consciousness is then sort of lowered down to the consensus level, because that's what's one is out and about in. So then breathing speeds up, and it's actually faster relative to one's own brain's consciousness or overall level of consciousness. It's hard to say. And then another thing that was interesting, when I was driving to the airport, I was driving some people to the airport. I was only tense breathing and had tense breathing driving to the airport when other people were in the car. Driving back, even though there was a lot of traffic, I didn't have any tense breathing. And also I was driving a much nicer car than I have. And so I'm wondering if part of my tense breathing is driving a crummy car, even though I don't feel like I'm breathing tense, but there could be people projecting tension towards me, because even I know what it feels like to see like this old crummy car driving. You're like, I don't want to drive behind that car. And yeah, I didn't have any tension, even though there was a lot of traffic, and so that was interesting. And I wonder too if this thinking in terms of correlation and not causation is helping, because correlation is something that's not really time bound. So not too long ago, I felt like I was in a state where I was processing the past, but I didn't make that into, okay, well now I have to process the past for the next number of days. I sat with it and it went away. And then I went on to talking about some other things, and that changed the state, because talking about those things doesn't correlate with that state of processing the past, so it kind of went away. And I'm starting to see the relative nature of time and matter. Like right now I feel I'm back more in like future consciousness, and then before I was in past consciousness, so it was like time travel in consciousness. I was literally in the past years and years ago, 5-10 years ago or something, and now I'm back in like a consciousness that I might have now and in the future. So it's like now and in the future, or now and in the past. So and it's not necessarily future, it's just a higher vibration than the consensus now. Whereas if the vibration was higher, and then that vibration met with where my brain is now, it would be consensus vibration. And it's relative, this level of consciousness, or this vibration of consciousness. And I haven't got to figure it out at all. There's no figuring it out. It's just fascinating. And I made my Tulsi Tea, my dream mug. And I was thinking about how designing one's life scaffolding is like a marathon. And I'm sort of glad that consciousness was lowered, because I was about to be like, I'm going to talk about insights, and I'm going to go into those insights now. And this event lowering the consciousness that happened, and I didn't lower my consciousness with the vitamins, was like, remember, safety first. You got to put on your safety harness before you start building the scaffolding. So that's what it reminded me of, and I'm glad for that. So I'm wondering too about this whole power of the breath. Since I've been using this Spire thing, I'm really fascinated by breath. So I'm glad I'm going to 2 breath workshop events tomorrow and the next day. And just being able to breathe through these fluxes in consciousness, and again, not making it about a me, about a linear story. That old story can come back, and then it's experienced, but it's not made into part of the now. So who knows? Like I said, I'm going to start doing a bit more reading and going into the crisis stuff.